Starting the new month, there's a lot that has happened. We had a month-end markup, which really propelled the stock market. But now we get to see the economy, inflation, unemployment, as well as the stock market, how that reacts to September. And those are the things we want to be discussing today. So let's get started with economic and stock market risks. August is done, and we're moving on to September. Now, this historically has not been a great time for the stock market. And when we take a look at the election cycle, this is one of the worst months of an election cycle as well. But that doesn't mean that we are really saying let's just sell everything. There are a lot of great places to be invested. But let's take a look at some of the other areas. We take a look at the economy, we take a look at unemployment, we take a look at inflation and the stock market, and we look at all of those things. Now, on an economic front, we're not in a recession, but we are spending money like we are. So our federal government is running a deficit right now in deficit spending, and that is being funded by the issuing of new bonds. Now that alone is a stimulating type of effect to our economy. So we are running the same level of deficits, or about the same level as what we would do back in World War II, and as well as the great financial crisis back in 2008, 2009. So we're really interjecting a lot of money and capital into the system to really help us to continue that growth. Well, that may actually not change come election time. Whomever gets into office and whatever political party gets into office most likely is going to continue this type of spending. So we just have to be aware of that there are other elements that are out there that may actually happen, that we're going to continue this type of spending. Right now we are in a deflationary type environment, lead 4. So slowing of growth of our economy, but also slowing of inflation. And when we're taking a look at oil, especially with respect to all the geopolitical risks and everything, and if oil can't get started, then there's real issues that may be out there that we actually do not even know about possibly. So there's reasons for being cautious at least. But when we take a look at the other elements like unemployment, which has not begun a noticeable tick upward, well, that's very helpful as well. Then if we take a look at the stock market in general on the seasonality aspects of things, saying that we mostly go sideways from here is actually saying that maybe this is not a bad environment. Maybe this is actually a pretty good environment to be invested. We just need to get through these really lulls in the next couple months. So with that respect, there's a lot out there. Yes, there are some risks, but when we take a look at bonds themselves, right now they are actually a great place to be invested. Maybe in the future they may not be. We take a look at gold as an asset class, possibly to help against inflation, but then we take a look at all of the other elements out there. They can all work together to say, even in the face of some of these really hard economic times, we can actually still be growing the portfolio. So let's actually take a look at that. Portfolio changes. Over the last number of weeks, we have talked about some of the different changes in the portfolios, and today we are going to maintain those changes. So we're going to be continuing on with some of the things I've just mentioned. So we'll be looking into bonds. Now there are many types of bonds that work well in this environment. Yes, they may not work in the future, but today is actually a very good time to be invested into bonds. But then we take a look at some of the other elements that work in this environment as well. So we see that gold has the opportunity to work, whether we're in lead 4 or if inflation starts to creep up and we're in lead 3. Then we start to look at the other ones, consumer staples like toothpaste, utilities, whether it's not only water, gas, and electric. Those all have the propensity to go up in this type of environment. But then we started to layer in some other elements like healthcare, real estate, and even financials have the ability to be a great place to be invested in this type of environment. Now, yes, we see this in maybe working for another couple of months, but then that will lead right into the election, And we see that there's going to be some other ideas that may work after the election as well. But for right now, we want to maintain those in your portfolio. Let's talk about wealth management and advanced planning. There's a lot that's happening in September, but for you as a business owner, this is the time that you have to file your taxes if you filed an extension. Now with that, you should take an opportunity here to reflect over what you have done this prior year and to actually use this as a time to make changes going forward. So we can take a look at things like your defined compensation plans for your employees. We can look at all the different ways we have key man insurance ready to go in case something happens. Or we could really look at maybe other elements that we need to do for selling or exiting the company and ways that we continue to make that grow. But now is the time that you can be taking a look at the financials. Well, because of the fact that we are coming up on the filing deadline, we need to look at all the different elements of what we could do going forward to really take a look at where you're at today, where you really want to go in the future, and to see if there's any gaps that exist in the overall financials of your business and how they translate into you personally. So all of that is really something to utilize this time right now to look at and to make a plan for. And if you need help with some of this planning, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help. And speaking of that, let's talk about our second opinion service. Our second opinion service is really designed for just that, a way that you or another business owner that you know can really have the opportunity to take a look at just the different elements of their own personal wealth plan. We can look at what's going on with the business, figure out if there's any other ways that we can be using either some of the cash flow or some of the plans that we've already put into place to help with your personal wealth plan. And then we can take a look at where you want to go in the future and see if there's any gaps that exist. Now that is part of the complimentary second opinion service that will take a look at all of that and then let you know if there's anything that you can do to help improve your situation. If you would like to refer someone to us, click the link below and we would be happy to set up a time where we can go through the discovery meeting and learn a little bit more about you so that we can be actually putting together a plan that is right for you. So as you have questions, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help. Take care.